tell us a little bit about, really briefly, who you are and what your company is and where it is, and just give us like the overview.
So we started out in the hemp industry, and we were one of the first 52 to get our license in the cannabis industry. And now we've, turned our focus to the THC market, and that's where we're heading now.
And where are you located out of?
We're in Newark, New York, and in Wayne County.
And tell me a little bit about your facility.
So our facility is about 350,000 square feet of greenhouse. 150,000 of that is warehouse space, probably approximately, above 450,000 square feet in total space here at our facility here in Newark.
All right, so start from where we are now. What is like the latest? What's going on with your business?
So yeah, we have took down a couple crops. A lot of it went to processing to make distillate for vape pens, and then we did about 500 pounds of fresh frozen material for live resin vapes, and that's geared towards more of the high end vape products that we're going to be coming to market with, hopefully in the next few weeks in the New York City area, because we know that the Finger Lakes area still has a little bit of a lawsuit going on, so a lot of our products is heading to New York City.
The Finger Lakes area has a what?
Lawsuit. They're
What's
still in the lawsuit with issuing dispensary license.
in the Finger Lakes area?
Correct.
So for people who don't know about us, just give us a really brief rundown on what that is, the lawsuit.
Yeah, so a federal judge put a hold on New York State issuing any dispensary licenses because there was a lawsuit filed with New York State, and those details are still being ironed out between the federal judge, New York State, and the gentleman that has the lawsuit against the state.
I remember this, and this is where was that? I forget where that was.
I know his first priority was the Finger Lakes region, and that's why we're kind of like in limbo here in this area on issuing dispensaries. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna have to, wait patiently and see how this all pans out. And
So you're in the process of working around that.
yeah, so we know New York City got their first issuing of licenses. They just issued, I think, 60 more. Don't quote me on that. But we're one of the farms that are lucky enough to get to the shelf, and we sent a bunch of stuff off for testing, and it all came back perfect. So we're looking forward to start making pre-rolls and stuff like that, and some smokable flower as well.
So you're sending product from the Finger Lakes to the tri-state area. Like you're in the process of doing that because it can be sold there, or can they
Correct.
sell it yet?
Yeah, they can sell it. They can sell in the New York City region. So we're working on with a processor that's able to distribute our product, because once we give our biomass to the processors, we're not allowed to take that product back. So they have to actually do the distribution for us. So it was smart for us to hook up with a processor that was in the New York City region area, because they have already had the connections.
Gotcha. So in terms of this shipment that you are kind of sending of stuff, so we're taking what you're making and creating and cultivating in the Finger Lakes, and you're sending it to New York City so that it can be like processed and sold,
That's
right?
correct.
So like what does that look like in terms of shipping stuff? Like, do you take plants and cut them into pieces and put them in bags and put them on do you know what I mean? Like, what for the average person, like what is that actually, how much work does that take? What do you have to actually do to get our products from the Finger Lakes to the tri-state area? Is there a lot of work involved in that? And what does that look like?
Yeah, because everything has to be weighed, tracked. There's a form that you have to fill out with OCM on the transport part of it, and then they have a manifest at the processor, and everything has to align when we get there. So they know what they're expecting and what we're delivering. So, and as far as that, as we have fresh frozen material, which is basically the flower comes directly off the plant, it gets frozen immediately, and that has we have a cooler that gets down to -10, and then we transport it with dry ice in other coolers to keep that material frozen till it gets to the processors. And then we have the dry aspect of it, which is, a lot of our trim and a lot of, flour that didn't make the cut as far as smokable flour. We just send it off for processing. If it doesn't look pretty and doesn't look good, for the shelf, we just send it off to get extracted for oil.
So I know that you and your partner are very like sort of you're kind of like emotionally attached to your plants. Like they're part of, and I've heard this from other people who are in the industry. It's a big part of your life. It's very cathartic and therapeutic to like nurture these plants from when they're babies up until they're ready to sort of send out and live their higher purpose. And farming and doing what you do can be a really I don't want to say emotional, but it can be sort of like therapeutic. And I know that you two are the last time I was there visiting, like it's meaningful to you. Like you have your favorite plants, you have you take care of them every day. They're like your babies.
Yeah.
So when you do things like this and you're taking these plants that mean so much to you guys, that you've spent so much time and money, and you've really been in this for quite a while trying to navigate this whole thing to come to fruition where you could have this business that's like a big passion, I know, for you. Is it hard to like say goodbye to your plants? I guess would be I don't know if that's a wacky question, but
Honestly, I would say no. I get I get satisfaction of knowing it got to the end consumer, that
okay.
all the work that we put into it, and then finally get it to the shelf, to the dispensary, and then have that customer enjoy the product that we put so much time into. Because so much goes into it, from the track and trace to growing it to getting it to extracted. I'm on the phone, late at night, you know, deciding what kind of flavors we're going to come out with for vape pens and the terpenes that we're going to use, making sure everything's all natural. There's just so much that goes on behind the scenes before it gets into the customer's hands. And then when it finally gets into the customer's hands and then they're smoking our product or, taking a gummy or whatever, you know, it's all that work that went into it to get it to the final consumer.
So it's less, it's not about like saying goodbye to the planet. It's almost like, well, now it's going off to serve its purpose and to actually help people.
Correct. That's correct.
So are you guys sending stuff like on in trucks, obviously, or
Actually, the last transport I did, well, not the last one, the time before that I did personally, and took it in a trailer. I don't want to get disclosed too much what we're doing, but
right?
yeah, we transport it, and we take security, at a high level when we're transporting and stuff, and making sure we have all of our documentation, correct, and everything's filled out. If our documentation doesn't match up and everything's not, up to par, we'll push it off another day or two to make sure we have everything, legal, when we're doing our transport.
Yeah, it's like I mean, 10 years ago, can you imagine? Like things have changed so much. Like it's just like you had a tractor trailer if you did full of
I mean, like
marijuana, it would be
500 pounds, I'd
completely
probably
different.
be in, prison for the rest of my life. Now
Right.
here I'm transporting 500 pounds like it's nothing. I feel like it's not even enough for the New York market, to be honest with you,
Right.
and altogether, I think we did probably around 700 pounds altogether in the last month that we've sent off just for processing alone. And then we have our smokable flour, which I don't know the quite exact numbers on that. In case OCM's watching me, I got to make sure I got my numbers correct.
Sure.
So,
Sure, you never know. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but so this is a big step, right? Like this is
yeah. I mean, we're almost to the finish line, like, and we're all learning here. I got a cannabis consultant. She's been really great with me. We just got all of our new We got some new equipment in that tags every single plant from the start to finish, to the end consumer. OCM can, ask us where a certain plant is in the facility, and we can just walk them over to it, and that tag will match up to where that plant is located.
So what makes your product that comes out of Newark and your plants and however, like what makes them, I guess, special or valuable and in demand to somebody in New York City? Like what about what you're doing? Like how, like I don't know a lot about marijuana plants, but like what is it about your guys's um plants that is special or good to where you are able to have these deals where you're sending it to New York City and it's sought after? Like what makes it good, I guess.
Well, I think there's a lot. I don't want to say I'm better than anybody. What I will say is, our numbers were better than we expected, which is good because we don't even know until we have it tested, where our product lines up, to our competitors. And we're all in the same boat. I mean, everyone thinks they have the best, right? I'm not claiming that I have the best stuff, but what I do make sure is the people that I'm working with and us coming together is to make sure we give a good quality product at the end of the day.
Can you tell me a little bit about like breaking it down into layman's terms for people like me that know absolutely really that nothing? Like, what does the numbers mean? Like,
So we're
how do
looking
you
for,
gauge quality and what were your numbers and relatively like what does that actually mean in layman's terms?
yeah. So what we're looking at is, a THC content, CBD, cannabinoid effect. So, you, New York State's going to basically they might change the tax rule. That I see a lot of emails where they might just put a flat fee on it before, where they were going to tax us depending on the potency. So the better I do my job, the higher tax I would pay. So hopefully, I think I seen an article where they're going to just put a flat fee of 20% instead of just charging on the THC content of the flower.
But your numbers were good when was it tested here or was it tested
It was
downstate?
actually it was tested downstate.
Okay.
Testing labs right now are they got their hands full. So it's almost like you got to kind of like get in with a processor. Maybe the processor has a foot in, so you can get your stuff to the market a little bit quicker. I mean, these testing labs are not. There's not many of them, and they're so backed up.
Are
They're
they?
yeah, they're like 3 weeks to a month before they even get to your product to test. So I'm not saying we're getting our stuff expedited, but we may be a week or two ahead just because we're working with a processor that has that's working with a lab that's close by to them.
Gotcha. So so like right now your product I'm sorry to just it's in the city now. Like it's in New York City now.
It's on the outskirts of New York City right now. I think it's almost all been extracted. Our first load has definitely been extracted. I don't know the exact numbers of kilos that we've gotten out of our extraction. I'll find that out probably around this coming Friday, and then I'll know approximately how many vape pens we can put out there. I have ordered a significant amount of vape pens and packaging and making sure we meet all the requirements and have COAs from our packaging to our the actual vapes itself to make sure even the vapes that our oil are going into don't have heavy metals and stuff like that. So it's safe for the consumer.
Gotcha. Because extraction means, like you were saying before, the difference between smokable flower and like extraction. So like the extraction is getting the like oil out of the actual plant.
That's correct.
Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't believe I got that. Okay. Learning as I go. So switching gears a little bit, the last time, I don't know if it was the last time. No, it was before, a couple times before we were at a job fair and you were meeting a lot of other people. How's the hiring process been going for you guys? Have you hired any people or are you still kind of like in the process of hiring or what's going on with
We're
that?
we're we're always looking for talent, and people come and go in this industry. It
Okay.
a lot of people think, oh, I want to grow some plants, you're not growing 6 or 7 plants in your garage or in your closet. We're growing thousands. And when they find out it's actually real work and it's real farming, and you're doing, you know, the same thing day in, day out, it it's not what they thought the job was when they first came. But then I mean, we got a lot of great people that find that therapeutic just to have something to do, you know, and work on that plant every day. So, but we have made a couple hires from that job fair, and we
Awesome.
still have you know, a stack of job applications that, you know, we keep, and we'll go through them as we need to fill those spots.
But you guys are, I mean, you guys have it like well, essentially down to a science with the way you grow. I mean, there is a lot to it. It is like there's so many plants, and it's every day if you don't, if you're not getting up and tending to that plant, I mean, it relies on you. Like
Yeah,
to,
so we're in the greenhouse 7 days a week. No one,
are you
there's
really?
somebody here 7 days a week doing something, you know?
Yeah.
So there's never a day off here. I mean, it's even Christmas Day where someone's got to be here to either flip a fan or turn on the heat to make sure, because if the heat goes down, then we lose all our whole crop, you know? So there's always monitoring going on. And we have private security here at night now too. And they keep an eye on our facility, you know, security wise, and, you know, just keeping an eye on the grows to make sure, you know, fans are working correctly, you know, things are turning off and on like they should, because that could be catastrophic if we lost a whole grow.
Yeah. And you have been patient. I mean, you guys have been like in this game for so much longer than people think, and you has taken so much, I think, like you guys have sacrificed a lot to get here, right? Like it's not been easy. Is that
I
fair to say?
literally put my whole life on the line for this industry. So yeah, if it goes bad, I might have to, you know, maybe you got a room for rent.
Yeah, you've been patient, but I mean, so like how are you feeling now that you're, I mean, it's so has it been sold yet, or is it about to be sold? Like your actual product, has it been sold downstate, or is it almost going to be sold?
It's almost going to be sold. So I'm actually got a meeting with the packaging company tomorrow to dial in, you know, the OCM requirements for labeling, making sure the because some of it has to be renewable, recyclable material. So not only the text and everything that's on it, we also have to make sure the packaging itself is compliant. So I'm meeting with them tomorrow to make sure we're all in compliance, for packaging tomorrow, and and then from there I'll take the packaging to the extraction lab, and they'll start filling our pens. And they gave me you know, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks that'll be done, and what they tell me, it's already sold. So as soon as we can get it done, they have it sold already. So that's great, you know.
And that's going to be a good feeling for you. That has to be like, oh my gosh.
I think what I'm gonna do is drive to New York City and just absolutely just see the product on the shelf, you know. That's
I
gonna be
feel like
the
that's
if I gotta take a flight there just to see that, that's what I'll have to do.
it's a big moment for you guys,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's been a long
Huge.
time coming, you know. And I know there's a couple people that made it to the dispensary shelf, you know, and there's a lot of farms that are trying to still figure this all out. I had a couple farms call me and they're like, Jeremy, how are you doing this? I'm like, it's not easy. It's
No.
not easy. You know, I have a team of people that just are very helpful. My staff here has been great. My consultant's been amazing. Attorneys have been good. You know, it's just it takes a lot of people, a lot of moving parts to make this happen.